Now, this term, all-out war with the USA, is something you must have seen in dozens of articles recently because Iran has been constantly threatening the United States that any attack on Iran, whether by the American Navy, Air Force, or Army, it will be treated as an all-out war. Here you can clearly see the statement, any attack will mean all-out war. Now the question is, why is Iran suddenly saying this? Why is Iran so worried? Why Iran believes that the military buildup by the USA clearly signals that America is planning a major attack, an attack of a scale Iran has never experienced in its history. Well, this entire issue began when a recent video of Donald Trump surfaced. In this video, Trump threatened Iran by saying that an armada of warships is currently moving toward Iran. What is an armada? An armada refers to a large group of naval warships. The US Navy is by far the most powerful navy in the world. No other navy even comes close. By sheer number of aircraft carriers alone, the United States can simultaneously engage multiple countries at once, assuming nuclear weapons or missiles are not involved. Recently, Trump repeated this warning in a video, that an armada of warships is moving toward Iran. He also said that a major attack on Iran is possible. Along with this, Trump made another claim, that he saved around 800 Iranian people from execution. Now watch this clip, and after that, I'll explain what's really happening today between the US and Iran.
We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And
this is a very important statement by Trump. There were roughly around 840 prisoners in Iran who had protested against the Iranian government. As you know, massive protests erupted in Iran a few weeks ago. Thousands, even millions of people came out onto the streets, protesting against the government. But ultimately, those protests failed. The US and Israel were hoping the protests would escalate so much that a regime change would occur, that protesters would storm government buildings and carry out a full-scale coup. But that didn't happen. After this, US media reported that thousands of people were killed in Iran and around 840 people were scheduled for public hanging. The Iranian government planned to execute them publicly to set an example of what happens to those who rebel against the state or the government. Obviously, both the US and Israel supported these protesters. The US wanted them to break into government buildings and trigger a collapse of the regime, but it didn't happen. Now many protesters were about to be executed. The US warned Iran that if these 840 people were executed, America would launch a massive sweeping attack across Iran, with the US Air Force bombing targets everywhere. After that, the Iranian government took a U-turn and cancelled the hangings. This is official. Iran's government did this. Now again, what was the reason? Iranian officials claim it was a timing issue, that they were waiting for something. But Trump says they weren't waiting at all. They received a direct threat from him, and that's why they stopped executing their own citizens. Another very interesting development is that this issue was recently discussed in the United Nations as well. And recently, in the UN Human Rights Council, a voting was held on whether to condemn Iran's issue, the killing of civilians and the government's actions against its own people. Now look at what happened. India and China is currently a member of the Human Rights Council, and when it was their turn to vote, they voted no. This clearly shows how angry they are with US policies. Normally, India follows a policy of abstention. In many past cases, India has even voted in favor of Israel. But in this particular resolution, in which Western countries were pushing, India categorically voted no. Following this, Iran made very significant statements regarding India. Iran's supreme leader's representatives in India recently stated, "We are ready for everything." They said that if an all-out war happens, they will rain missiles on Israel and also on US military bases. By the way, the US has already begun withdrawing soldiers from several bases close to Iran, which fall within Iran's missile range. I would say that the threat of a genuine war right now is extremely high. Interestingly, one of Khamenei's aides also said that India-Iran relations are 3,000 years old, dating back to before Iran even became an Islamic country. The civilizational links between India and Iran have existed for millennia. You can see this statement. The supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran always insists on good relations and collaboration between India and Iran. I hope that in Chabahar, they will work nicely. Iran is clearly reminding India about India's investments in the Chabahar port and expressing its desire for those projects to succeed. But if the US starts a major war here, Chabahar will effectively be dead. So the question is, how far will India go to protect the Chabahar port? Will India talk to the US and urge them to maintain peace in the region? Because if an all-out war breaks out between the US and Iran, oil prices will skyrocket, inflation will rise, rise. And if you ask me whether Trump could do something big like destroying Iran's economic assets, so that possibility absolutely exists. The Atlantic Council recently published a detailed report analyzing what Trump might do next. According to the report, the most likely option is symbolic strikes, possibly carpet bombing in Tehran, Iran's capital. Another option is attacking security infrastructure, bombing intelligence buildings, targeting generals and commanders, and conducting cyber attacks. These are all very possible. Then come economic targets. During confrontations between Iran and Israel over the past year, there was speculation that Israel might attack Iran's economic assets. This time it looks entirely possible. Iran's oil depots and ports could be destroyed, further weakening Iran economically. The biggest risk, of course, would be an attempt to eliminate Iran's supreme leader, similar to past operations carried out by the US. Non-kinetic options exist, but I believe the chances are low. Whatever happens will most likely involve kinetic military action. So as updates come in, I'll keep bringing you updated videos. Until then, do subscribe so that you can get our latest video.